nostalgia del cine tiene mucho que contar.
Es un placer tener de invitado especial en la película al señor Tom Hanks. Thank you to be.
I understood that. Hey, I speak enough Spanish to know that.
Thank you to be with us, Tom. And what do you think was the Connolly's secret to be a great manipulator?
Exclusivity. Here's something that Colonel Tom Parker never said. He never said to somebody else, son, if you sign with me, I'll do for you what I did for Elvis Presley. Because he was not looking for any other clients. He knew that he had in Elvis Presley a zeitgeist-changing artist. And he talked, and there's a long, protracted interview that he gave in 1956 to a guy who was asking a bunch of dumb questions. And I hear in that his roadmap for the next 20 years, his strategy of turning Elvis Presley into a one-of-a-kind, century-marking artist, because that's what he saw. Artistically enough, not in the music that Elvis did, but in that music's effect on an audience. He had no artistic bone in his body. Elvis could do whatever Elvis wanted, as long as Elvis was doing what he wanted. What he was paying attention to was to this crowd of people who had never seen this thing before. So his genius was making sure that crowd was always going to have to what? Pay money to hear or see Elvis Presley. One of the first things he did was took him off TV. Everybody else was doing TV for the exposure. No. Elvis Presley was on TV for the money, and if they didn't pay him his price, he was not on TV. So if you wanted to see Elvis Presley, you had to pay by listening on the radio, buying a record, going to one of his concerts, or buying a ticket to one of his movies. Genius.
What do you like the most about the way this Elvis story is told?
I had never seen a picture of Colonel Tom Parker. I didn't know what he looked like until Baz Luhrmann came in and said, this movie is going to start with Colonel Tom Parker. And I said, okay, whoa, that's never been done before. Because nobody knows. I mean, outside of, the hip few, nobody knows what Colonel Tom Parker did or was. They know the name, they know a bit of the legend, maybe they know he was a cheap carny. That's how he started out. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, well, Baz is actually onto something brand new here. This is not just a new way in order to put Elvis Presley up on screen singing and dancing. This could actually be a deep dive into how he ended up there and why. As soon as I'm not a selfish guy. Nothing wrong with being in a movie with Austin Butler as Elvis Presley, provided every now and again he and I get together and talk like two guys who are on the same mission, and that mission was immortality. And for themselves, he got it for Elvis, and in some way, he got it for himself as well.
When was the first time you heard about the Elvis Presley video?
Not until it was after the Beatles, and Elvis Presley was already some guy from a long time ago. And he was the very good-looking movie star in a bunch of really silly movies. Girls, 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 and Fun in Acapulco, and Kissin' Cousins, and Viva Las Vegas, which actually is kind of like the masterpiece of that era of his movies. So he was just a movie star. He was just a guy who made movies by way of some other avenue that I didn't really pay any attention to. I was aware in the 70s that he had sort of put Las Vegas on the map by way of the show that was like bigger than life. But I never viewed him. He wasn't part of, my cultural identity ever until I get a little older. You start reading some things. There's the Guralnick biographies that were absolutely fascinating. But even those are for me, they were sort of like from the perspective of American history as opposed to cultural importance.
Tom, thank you so much to be with us, and congratulations for this movie.
I hope we get to do it again, even if we're just talking about Elvis and Colonel Tom Parker again.